Good evening, paranormal community, and thank you for partaking in what is the 303rd episode here at the Odyssey Files. I'm your host, Michael O'Neill. With me, as always, and early tonight is my co-host, Mr. David Soring. Good evening, Dave.
Good evening, Mike. Good evening to the paranormal community in general. It's good to be here. Rainy Sunday. Got a great guest. She's coming.
She's here.
She's here,
Dave.
She's here. She's on her way. But it's looking forward to tonight's conversation. It was a long, even though it was a short week, it was a 4-day work week. It was a long 4 days.
For somebody who works Tuesday through Saturday, it was a week.
Well, true. I worked Tuesday through Friday, and it was a long work week.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying.
And we're not going to hear it because...
No, we're not, because we're bringing our guest on.
Yes. Okay, so for our guest and for everybody who is watching now and listening later, I have not been able to ask her how to pronounce her last name. So I'm going to take a shot at it. I have a 50-50 shot of getting it right, which means I have a 90% chance of it being wrong.
I think you're close with what you said to me earlier.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an amazing guest here tonight. We have Bishop Rita Strugala.
I think so.
Okay. Well, she's having problems with her camera, so I'm trying not to bring her in mid-shake.
Well, gotcha.
All right, people, ladies and gentlemen, here we have, I'll say it the other way, Bishop Rita Strugala. Hello, Rita. How are you?
Good.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Wonderful.
Is it Strugala?
It is.
Ah, told you. 90% chance of getting it wrong. And
you did so much better than most, though.
Well, I knew it was one or the other. And usually when they don't have a name like Anderson or something like that that's really easy to pronounce, I need to ask them, so I don't mispronounce it
ahead of time. Yeah.
Yes. So welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Doing good.
I'm excited to have you here.
Yes, very much so. And thank you for coming on for the whole show, because usually Dave and I leave like 60% of what we want to talk about not said because we run out of time. So now we'll only leave like 20.
Which would be a good night. Yeah.
It'd be a good night. So I guess the other question I haven't asked you, do you like to be called Bishop Rita, or doesn't it matter to you?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. I'm not stuck on titles.
Okay. Good.
If it's easier to say Bishop, that's fine. If it's Rita or if it's hey you, I answer to pretty much anything.
Well, I never thought about hey you. I might try that.
No.
Just kidding. No, I won't. So Rita.
Yes.
You have had a very, very long paranormal career.
Yes.
And I usually like to give our guests, first time on, a chance to kind of explain how you got involved in the field and kind of where how you got started to where you are now.
Okay, well, this is a long journey because I'm old. So anyway, no, when I was 5 years old, I had my very first paranormal experience. Pretty tame by anybody's calculation. If you hear it now, it scared the crap out of me. I'll just be honest. It really did. But I was only 5. And what happened was when we were growing up, we were real poor, and I lived up in Minnesota, and I remember it was the summertime. It was probably, I don't know, I was maybe 4 or 5 years old. And I remember it was like in August when up there, it's like the sun doesn't go down till like 10 o'clock, where I'm at in Alabama, it's down at 8 o'clock in the summertime, it's just because of the mountains and everything. So, but we still had to go to bed at 8. We were young, we were little, mom would put us to bed. And we didn't have air conditioning. And I don't care what anybody tells you, it gets hot in Minnesota in the summer. People don't believe that. They think it's snow all year round, but it's not.
No.
No. So anyway, so what they would do is we had one fan, and my parents would my brother and I, we shared a room. I was over by the window, he was over by the door, and they would put the fan in the doorway when we'd go to bed at night. And then when they got ready to go to bed, they would think we would be sleeping. They'd take the fan and they'd take it to their room. Well, usually when the minute they did that, then I woke up because I'm hot. And that was one of those nights, and they had gone to bed, and I was just laying there hoping for a breeze to come through the window. And I heard footsteps coming down the hallway. That wasn't unusual. My parents would get up in the night and they would come check on us, make sure we were okay. So it didn't bother me. I just laid there waiting for them to show up. The footsteps came, they got closer and closer. They got right to the doorway, right in the middle of the doorway, and there was no one to see. And I knew, I could feel there was something looking at us, but I couldn't see it. I didn't know what it was. And I remember to this day, I remember my heart just beating like 90 miles a minute, scared to death. I was afraid to move. I didn't want it to know I was awake. And I remember just laying there, just sweating my...
You say ass.
Yeah, that
Buns.
too. Yeah, that too. And I was just terrified. And then I, as the longer that I laid there, never heard another thing. I started to finally relax, thinking, okay, good, this is over with, whatever it was. All of a sudden, this woman's very loud voice, very old woman, very loud, says, "You kids stay away from my piggy bank money." Okay, I don't even know what a piggy bank is. I don't know what money is. I just know I'm terrified, and I dove under the covers, man. I was just terrified, and I knew my parents were going to come running in to see what was going on. My brother must be awake. Nobody heard it but me.
Yeah.
Absolutely no one heard it but me. And I don't think it had anything to do with it, but we moved out of that house like 2 weeks later. Thank you. And but that was the first thing that it terrified the heck out of me. But the other part of me, even at that young age, I wanted to know how something can talk that's not there. And as I grew older, that was the thing that really got me, is how does something speak that has no voice box? So I went to the libraries and I would read everything I could on ghosts. Now, back then, I'm 60 now, so that's just how old I am. And back then, all there was on ghosts was Casper the Friendly Ghost,
Mm-hmm.
or Hans Holzer. So I read every Hans Holzer book I could get my hands on, and some Casper the Friendly Ghost, because I liked him. But but that's what got me started on it. And what I didn't know was, when that experience scared me so badly, I shut all my gifts down. I didn't even know I had any gifts, but obviously I did, or I wouldn't have heard it. And so I was wanting to know. I just had to know. So I was 11, and I started getting kids from the neighborhood that wanted to go see about ghostly things. And we literally started going down to like the empty, neighborhood stores and stuff like that. And I had a friend that had she had gotten a microphone thing. And so she's recording, and I have my little throwaway picture things you got that, that was used to put them in and get the pictures developed kind of thing, but they were, real cheap and that, but, and that's what we did. And we were 11 then. By the time I was 16, I actually started my first actual group. And by the time I was 18, 19 years old, I was already starting to do cleansings and stuff like that. So, and it just grew from there. Now, mind you, I stayed away from the dark. I did not want anything to do with the darkness. I wanted nothing to do with, demons. Everything that I had read and stuff about it said that, in your lifetime, you actually had a 5% chance of actually running into a demonic haunt. I hit the jackpot. So
I
that's
say
how I started.
5% sounds pretty gracious. Usually I say 1%, 1 to 2%.
Back then, that's what it was. Now, if you're actually in this business, unfortunately, um, I know for us, it's 70 to 75%. And I
Wow.
think the demons just show up where we are just because they want to take us on.
Right.
So I think that's a lot of that. But
So, as somebody who has started my own team as well, but way later in life than 16. I mean, how did people take to following a 16-year-old into investigations and stuff like that?
um, the people that came first, a lot of them knew the other kids that had been in our groups before. And we literally caught some pretty impressive stuff back then, believe it or not. Um, it just kind of word of mouth thing that you know they would say, if you have problems going on or whatever, you might want to, this girl kind of knows what's going on here, so give her a chance. And they'd bring me in, and the thing was is with me, I didn't want to be like everyone else. I did not want to do this for bragging rights. If I was going to do this, I wanted to help someone who has a scared kid at home like I was
Right.
when it happened to me. And that was my whole thing. That was the difference between me and the other people that a lot of people would call in. They would get basically evidence and stuff and say, "Oh, well, thanks, great, you're on your own. Yeah, your place is haunted. Good luck." And they're like, well, what do we do now? Now it's worse. Now what are we going to do? So when you get desperate enough, you'll give a 16-year-old a chance if you think you can get some help. So
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
that's
So, since you were still a minor, how did your parents feel about you doing this?
well, I mean,
I already
honestly,
love the answer.
well, they didn't really know the extent I was into it, but I mean, they knew that we were going out doing this stuff, but you know, they they were all no nonsense, ghosts don't exist, so we weren't getting anything, and they never asked, and I didn't really tell them that much. And then a few years later, my dad would come in, and I mean, I had like a whole command center and all this kind of stuff in my room where I have all this, that, and the other thing, and he's like, "What is all this?" And so I was explaining it to him, and honest to God, my dad was my biggest fan. He absolutely believed in me. He would do the thing when mom was around, like, there's no such thing. When she's not around, it's like, what did you get? What do you got? So,
Gotta
so
love dads.
I know they're great. I miss my dad.
So, what was the turning point between just being a paranormal investigator and kind of moving to the left a little bit and joining the church? And I mean, when you did that, uh was it your goal to become one of the chief exorcists or just an exorcist in
No,
general, or you
no,
just
no.
wanted to be part of the church?
There was a couple reasons why I did it. I liked the church for one thing. And I had already thought about doing, in fact, I had gone on and gotten ordained as a reverend, at a different place. And it gives you credibility when you're helping, especially if you're doing dark cases. It helps a lot. A lot of people are looking for someone that has, um, a religious title, because they think that that's the only thing that demons will. Most people, let's put it this way, most people that are having a problem, that are scared, think it's a demon.
Right.
They think whatever they've got going on is a demon. And
That's going to come up later.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
we'll be
so,
talking about that. Yeah.
yeah. So they want somebody to come in. They feel better, especially if they're, Christian themselves or whatever. They want help from a church. Um, Also, I wanted someone that would back us up, because praise God, I've never had, I've never had anybody get hurt, thank God. But if we did, I wanted somebody that would back us up, and a church. That's what I wanted. Did I ever want to be a bishop or be, like a priest and any of that stuff? No, that was really not in my plan. But that was God's plan. And, it took him at least a year to convince me that this was my calling. I didn't want anything to do with it. I wanted to keep going on the happy little haunted houses. I didn't want anything to do with the demons. So that was another big chunk out of my, year out of my life, trying to tell God he's got it wrong. He doesn't really want me. He wants somebody else, And well, that didn't work out so well.
Do you think when you were younger and you were investigating, do you think you ran into any type of dark entity? If you want to use the word demon, that's fine. I know there's a lot of things other than demons that we throw into the dark side of things.
Yeah.
But do you think that you crossed paths with something that was nasty?
We did.
Before your journey into the faith and into the church and stuff?
We did. And I wanted nothing to do with it. And even if I thought it was a malicious, any kind of a malicious spirit kind of thing, I wanted somebody that would help the people. I didn't want to go up there and go, oh, I know what I'm doing, all this kind of stuff. I didn't want to be up there. I didn't want nothing to do with it. So I would tell them, I will do my best to find someone that I feel is qualified to help you. And I would go everywhere that I could to try to find them somebody, because I didn't feel qualified. This was not what I was going to do. This is not what I wanted to do. And I was not qualified and I really wasn't. I hadn't really worked those kind of cases. Didn't have any want to work those kind of cases. So to say that I went out and studied for it and that, no, I certainly did not. I was completely thrown in it head first, because the Lord knew I would not step in it in myself. I would not. And he was right. I would not have.
So the one thing that I've noticed about the universe and how it works is when it wants to make a statement, it does so in a very extreme and merciless way. So if you're willing to, like, what was the case? What was the experience that was like, okay, you made your point?
Yeah, that year that I said that was, he was trying, he was so patient with me for that year. I know I said no to him at least 12 times. And every time I did, I had a little bit more on my shoulders of, how much longer are you going to say no to the Lord? That was like, so there was that. So I was putting a lot of pressure on myself, but I didn't believe I was the right person for the job. Not that I thought he was wrong. I just thought he was wrong because it was me. Anybody else could do it, just not me. And, pretty much anything I'd ever heard growing up was, oh no, it's got to be a man. It's got to be, the man of the cloth and all this kind of thing. So I was not ready to say that, that God would make women with this calling too. That just, you didn't see that, you just don't see that.
Right.
And they're not, accepted. So, I just kept thinking there's got to be a way out of this, kind of thing. And every time I would have a case, it would get a little bit darker. The next one's a little bit darker. And at the end of it, somehow, some way, we'd manage to figure it out and we'd take care of it. And I would literally hear, see, I got your back. And I'm like, oh, I still don't want to do this. And that went on for an entire year. And the last straw, what actually threw me into it, again, I already had all that stress on me from already saying no 1,000 times, it seemed like. And we had a really hard case, really bad case. And as we were going there, see, I was telling one of the guys that was on my team that was driving there with me, it was like a 2-hour drive. I was telling him, look, I'm not qualified to do this. I don't, something with my gifts is changing drastically. And I don't want anything to do with it. I'm scared of it. I can't lead people into this if I can't feel like I can keep them safe. I can't
Right.
put my head down on the pillow at night. I can't do it. And he kept saying, Rita, you gotta have confidence in yourself. He said, you've got 40 years experience in this. How different can it be? And I'm like, it can be real different. It can kill you, you know? And he's going, no, you've got this. You've got this. You just need the confidence. And I thought, yeah, okay, whatever. So we get there. We're going through all these horrible storms on the way there. It's August. It's hotter than crap out. It's every 20 minutes, there's another big old thunderstorm and, you know, the lightning, thunder, rain, the whole 9 yards. We get there and we're here to help this lady who lives on a stables. They have stables, beautiful stables there. And 30 years prior to my being there, they had an incident there that they had a brand new barn and they had 10 horses in the stable at the time. 2 horses had been let out into the field and they were getting ready to go on a show up to Kentucky. So they had just had everything done in there. They did not have the electricity on yet in the barn and that, but they had the horses in there and they were bringing water in and stuff like that. But she was the kind of person that she didn't leave anything to chance. So she went around and anything that they had plugged into the outlets, because they were supposed to come on like when they came back, they were going to have it turned on. She took all the plugs out. She just didn't feel comfortable. So she did all that. Everything was ready to go. They were leaving in the morning. They went to bed at about 1 o'clock in the morning. There was just this horrible ruckus going on, and she heard the horses screaming and pawing, and she saw this orange glow outside her window, and she ran over there and looked, and the barn was completely engulfed in flames. Could not get the horses out. It was awful. It was awful. So she was distraught. She couldn't be consoled. That I think it was the same night, if I remember right. Once they came in and everything, she went into the kitchen later on because she just couldn't sleep. And she went into the kitchen and it couldn't have been, it must have been like when they came back, because she was smelling smoke, which you still would have if it was that night. So it had to have been the week they came back. And she woke up and just smelled smoke and thought the house was on fire now. And so she went sprinting through the house and she said, Rita, she said, it was crazy. She said, I got by the kitchen and she said, I don't know what it was. She said, but it scared the crap out of me. She said, I had to get out of there. She said, I ran to the bed and she said, I literally jumped in the bed, said, scared my husband half to death. And she said, you know, I just checked it. It smelled like the house was on fire and he didn't smell anything. And so she was in there and she thought, man, something just isn't right. So she got up and she went out again. She went in the kitchen and there beside the refrigerator was this demon. She said it looked like, she said the best thing I can liken it to would be like the closest thing you can think of would be like a dragon from like Chinese New Year dragon type thing. She said, and it was standing there, but it was red, and it told her that if she would just agree to follow him, that he would return her horses. He would make sure that she won all championships, that she would get her barn and everything she lost back. And she said, Rita, she said, I'm ashamed to say this. She said, but I actually thought about it. She said, I lost all my horses. I lost everything that I loved. They were my kids. She said, and then I realized what it was saying. And she said, and I screamed, in the name of Jesus, you get out of here. She said it hissed and it said, you will regret this for the rest of your life. And it like slithered up the wall, out the window, and out it went. Right after that, she had a priest come in. He blessed the property. His wife came and blessed the property. He wasn't available. She came and did it. She set up angels on every corner of the property. And for 30 years, the place was great. Felt wonderful. Everything was good. The lady that does exorcism with me is Colleen. And she has her horse down there at that stable. So she knows the lady very well. And she told me, she had called and said, we got to get down there. They're having problems. She said, there are no angels left on the property. She said the Native Americans that she sees normally, that the spirits of the natives that hunt and fish and protect the land, she said they're nowhere to be found. And she said, this morning I saw a black orb inside the ring with the horses. And I said, okay, all right, let's go. I knew it wasn't going to be fun, but she's my best friend. So of course I'm going to go help her. So then that's what we were going down there for, was to help this lady, Joyce, and turns out her daughter as well. I found that out later. So I get there. We just went through this horrible storm. He's telling me, you've got this. You just have to have confidence, blah, blah, blah. We get in there. Here comes that storm that we just went through. It is right on our tail. And I'm looking and I'm going, gosh, I got to get everybody saged and in the house before this breaks. So I had Joyce telling me that story that I just told you about what happened the 30 years prior, as I'm saging people, getting them in the house. I said, all right, right now what we got to do is we got to take back your house. We got everybody in just as the storm broke. The rain, it's just pounding down, thunder, lightning, wind, you name it, the whole 9 yards. So I told her, I said, we got to take back your house. I said, I had the sage. I have, we do the salt. We do the baptizing of rooms, that kind of thing. I said, you can say what I say if you want, or you can say what's in your heart. I said, you got to take your house back. So by this time I've done over 100 cleansings, and I say pretty much the same thing every time because it works. And I know it works. So I get in there, and all of a sudden I start saying things I never say. It was great. It was powerful. And I remember thinking, why don't I say this? This is awesome. And she's saying it right after me. And I mean, that storm is just like crazy. And I get we get to the bottom of the house there. We did the top first, came down and did the bottom of it, put salt in her hand. And I said, now I opened the door and I said, in the name of Jesus, I cast you out. That's what you got to say. And she said it. She's, in the name of Jesus Christ, I cast you out, and threw that salt out the door. Storm stops. Storm stops just like that. Bum, bum, bum. Just stops. Rain just stops. Wind stops. Thunder stops. Lightning stops. And I'm like, what the crap is happening here? Shut the door. And meanwhile, Colleen comes up. She said, we just saw it leave. And I said, yeah. And she said, you'll never believe what it looked like. And I said, what? Now she is cursed. I say cursed, but it's actually a really good thing. But she sees it. She sees them exactly like she sees you and me. She can describe everything it is, what it looks like, what it's doing, all of that. I don't get that. I feel these things. Mm-hmm. So we have different gifts which go together, and we get a bigger picture, which is great. She said, this looked just like, she said, you ever see the posters of Jack the Ripper? She said, where the guy's in like a long black cloak, and he's got a top hat, face is all blacked out because they don't know who it is. I said, yeah. She said, well, it looked just like that. She said, and then it turned around. She said, it has razor blades for teeth, and it had yellow eyes. I said, great. And she said, and it went up the wall and out. And I went, okay, so it's the same thing as from 30 years ago. She said, yeah. And I said, okay. So I said, well, where did it go? And she said, it went across the field. And I asked Joyce, I said, whose house is that there across the field? And she said, that's my daughter's. I said, okay, come on, we got to go. And so we got our gear and everything. We start walking over the field. We go over the fence, and we're walking up there. And here comes another freaking storm. Wouldn't you just know it? And I'm going, oh my God, I got to get everybody in the house again. So we're just booking, trying to get in there in time. Get in there right as that storm breaks. And it was like hitting a brick wall. And I'm like, God, it is just so thick in here. It's just awful. Pretty soon her daughter comes downstairs and she's crying. She's been crying. And I said, Sissy, I said, why are we here? And she said, she said, my life has spiraled out of control. She said, I've hit rock bottom. She said, I started drinking after 14 years of sobriety. She said, my husband's now left me. Now he's threatening to take our son. She said, I'm going to lose my house. She said, I lost my job. They caught me drinking on the job. She said, she said, my life is just, if it wasn't bad enough, she said, I spent last night in jail for public intoxication. I said, all right. I said, we're gonna work on that demon when we get to it. I said, right now we got to get the other demon out of here. We start going through the house. I told her the same thing her mom, you gotta say whatever, say it after me, but you've got to take back your house. We start upstairs, and I noticed she's getting more and more upset in every room that we go to. But she's saying it. And again, I'm saying things I never say. And to this day, I cannot remember what it was. I wish to God I could remember what it was, but it was so powerful. It was awesome. And I kept thinking, that's not me saying that. It's in my voice and it's coming out of my mouth, but it's not me. So I didn't know what it was, but it was good. And so I went with it. We finally get through the house. By the time we get down by the foyer down there, I mean, the storm is just hellacious. I open up that front door and she's standing there and put the salt in her hand. And I said, you have to cast it out. In Jesus' name, I cast you out. Storm. I mean, I'm yelling it to her because the storm is so freaking loud. And all of a sudden she drops to her knees and she starts screaming, oh my God, it hurts. Get it out. Get it out. Oh my God, it hurts so bad. Get it out. And I'm just like a deer in the headlights. Oh my God, this is my worst fear. This is what I did not ever want to have happen. And I've been thrown into it. And I see Colleen come running in and she gets down behind her. She's on the floor. She's kneeling behind her and she just puts her hands on her back. When Colleen's doing her thing, she's like in a trance state. So I don't bother her. She's got her own stuff to do. Michael works through her. St. Michael works through her. Christ works through me. So at that time, we did not know about Michael working through her or Christ working through me at that point, because this is the first time this has ever happened. And I'm standing there and all I can think to tell her is, Sissy, you've got to cast it out. You've got to cast it out. In Jesus' name, cast it out. And she just couldn't say it. She just keeps screaming and yelling. And I'm standing there and I'm seeing her and she's facing the door where the storm is just, I mean, ungodly. And Colleen is just quiet as a church mouse behind her with her hands on her back. And all of a sudden I see something come down from the ceiling. And the only way I know how to describe it is it looks like a mirage kind of thing that you see when the pavement's so hot and you see that wavy, shimmery. That's all I saw. And I thought, what is that? About that time, I looked and I saw in front of the girl, I saw the same thing, only tinged in red. And I went, oh my God, they are warring for her soul right in front of me. And I was like, please God help me. What do I do? And I just kept saying, you've got to cast it out. I was just a lot more urgent when I saw all that. And it felt like it took an hour. It was probably, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. I don't really know. But all of a sudden she reared back her hand and she said, in Jesus' name, I cast you out. And she threw that salt out the door. Storm stops just like that. Boom. Mid boom, mid rain, mid wind, everything just stopped. Now you just hear the trees dripping. I'm like, what is going on? And I shut the door. She's down, she's crying. I'm down there. I'm holding Sissy. I'm telling her she did good. She did good, and Colleen's coming out of her trance and she's looking at me. She says, what the hell just happened? I said, I don't know. So that was our introduction to it. And what happened when I finally, and it was coming up real quick, we got everything together. And I looked at everybody and I said, we have to go up where the barn actually burned down the first time. Don't ask me how I knew that. I just knew that. I said, we have to go up there and we have to set up a medicine circle and we got to get all of this negative crap from both houses out and then fill ourselves with the white light of God. So we start across the field to go to where the barn burned down, the first barn burned down. Wouldn't you know, here comes another storm. And I'm like, dear God in heaven, all I could think was I could see the rain line right here. I know we're going to get soaked in a second, you know, and I don't care. Please don't hit me with lightning. I just kept saying, please, God, don't strike me with lightning. Please don't strike us with lightning. That's all I could say. We get up there to where it is. The wind's blowing like crazy and everything. And I'm trying to light a candle and put it down. And of course, it blows out the second I do. And somebody's coming behind me lighting it, somebody behind them. And we just till we get everybody in this circle. And I put blessed salt all around that circle. And I had everybody sit down. And I had everybody just push all of the negative, everything dark, anything, you know, just everything down into the ground, deep into the earth, and it will neutralize the negative. And then once they did that, you know, I said, and then we'll fill ourselves up. And meanwhile, Joyce is sitting right next to me, the 70-year-old lady that we came to help. And she said, what does red mean? And I said, could you be more specific? And she said, red orbs. What is that? And Colleen said, oh, well, that can be a higher evolved spirit. It can also signify anger. It has different meanings for different tribes and, you know, that kind of thing. And she said, oh, and she said, but she said, I think what you're picking up on is the medicine man who's here in the circle with us. She said, he's got red leggings on. And she said, oh, okay. 2 seconds later, Joyce starts speaking she's speaking in tongues to me. It was Native American. I have no idea what she said. And she got through with what she was saying, and it sounded nice, whatever it was. And just sitting there, and I kind of expected her to say, and that means blah, blah, blah. And she didn't say a word. And I just said, Joyce, I said, can you tell us, you know, what did you say? It's beautiful. She looked at me. She said, I have no idea what I just said. So I guess the medicine man was talking through her. She has gifts as well. Who knew? And so meanwhile, I took a couple of pictures in the circle, and I got 2 big red orbs in there. So I could back up with what Joyce was seeing. But anyway, so while the medicine man is dealing with each one of us one at a time, you could feel his hands on your shoulders. You could feel he was giving us healing. And I was having them all bring the white light from God down into each one. And all of a sudden it occurred to me, and I went, wait a minute. I said, do you feel that? And everybody's looking around, and you can hear the storm all around us, but there's no wind in our circle. We're right next to a pond. There's no insects in the circle. There's no rain in the circle, yet it's pouring. It makes no sense. The trees are all bending. So the wind was really going. We should have been just blown out of there. And we all about the same time, and there's 11 of us, so I've got 11 witnesses. But we all just at the same time just kind of looked up, and right above us was a circle of stars. Everywhere else was the storm. Right above us was a circle of stars. And that's when I went, I get it, God. I'll do it. You've got my back. I got it. I'll do it. So it took him a while, but it was quite a quite a coming to Jesus there. But it was.
I'll tell you what, that if that's not a grab you by the shoulders moment and make and sit you down forcefully and make you understand what he's trying to tell you for all this time, I don't know what is. That is an amazing event that you were involved in. Absolutely amazing.
He was so patient with me. I mean, you know, and I know he did that. I mean, looking back at it now, you know, I go, yeah, you threw me into that because you knew damn well I'd never walk into that.
Right.
And he did. And he was there, and he had my back, and he I don't know how better he could have showed me that. So.
Well, I guess here's my question for you then, because I from the beginning of the story, I actually had the question of if you thought, I mean, obviously that whatever this demon was responsible for these storms in order to stop you from doing whatever it is, you know, you were there to do. Do you by chance maybe think that it wasn't the demon doing that, but maybe it
It's
was part of what God was trying to show you.
it's like, this one's a hard-headed one. We got to get through to her some way. She just keeps saying no. So let's show her. Let's really show her something that she can grab, sink her teeth into. And I believe it was definitely, because I believe he's the one that shut it off at those times too. I mean, how could you not notice? It was
Right.
like all of these things were like in your face. You got it. I'm doing this. I'm in control. Have you got it? And I'm finally like, yeah, I got it. I'm hard-headed. I got it.
So was it the next day that you you went and started your journey towards becoming a member of the church?
It was not long after that. Yes, it was not long after that at all. Yeah.
So I wonder I have a case that I've been working off and on for years that is eerily similar to the one that you just talked about in many respects. But I wonder, do you think that something happened in Joyce's life or somebody on that property that caused that initial demonic thing to show up? I
I
mean, how do you feel like that? Like, why did it choose her? Why that location? Did she do something when she was younger? Ouija board, renounce God, something like that, that just opened up that door and it was just the right time for that entity to come through?
I
Or
I don't think so. And the reason I say that is because I talked to Joyce many times. She became a good friend of mine, and she just passed this year, unfortunately. But um, she said they were always in church and everything, and she said, she didn't really believe in demons, devils, that kind of thing. It was more like something that they scare you to be be good with, kind of
right,
thing.
right,
And but that woman is a warrior. She was a warrior, and I think that's why it sought her out, because they do seek us out.
yeah,
They want to get rid of us big time.
right, right,
So it's a constant battle, and I think they knew she had so much light about her. They couldn't miss that light. I mean, it's a
right,
huge beacon.
right. So they're going to send one of their tougher fighters in there to take her out.
Yep.
Right. I agree with you. I think that happens too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're
Yeah.
certainly not sending your entry level grocery bagger demonic entity in to take on somebody who has authority and white light pouring out of them, because it's just going to be a joke. I mean, the person with the white light and the authority isn't even going to notice this mosquito over
Yeah.
here, So
Yeah.
they've got to send something big, it, you know,
And the
kind of
little
like sending Mike
mosquito.
Tyson in, right? Like in his heyday,
Yeah.
like we're going to send Iron Mike in, from the demon side, right? To go, take this person out, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know from doing as many exorcisms as I've done, is they never bring their top guy out first.
No.
Not in a battle like that. But when you're not expecting to have a battle with something, then a lot of times they will bring their top guy out, because they want one and done. They want you out. But when I'm set up to go do an exorcism, and that, I know they are going to take every little minion they can and throw it at me to try to wear me out, to wear me
Mhm.
down. And then when the big guy comes out, then they think they will win.
Right.
So and I think that they were trying to take Joyce out. They knew that she is of God, and she chose God, and she literally made that choice and told the devil that when he came to her house, and she said, "No, you get out of my house." In the name of Jesus, she chose Jesus over the devil. And I think there was always, I know there's always been, we've been over there several times because of stuff that flares up, kind of thing. And that's just the way they do. They try to get us out. Now, we had a case this last week that was one. I think something's changing. I don't know how long you've worked demonic cases and that, but it seems
I
like,
grew up with him, regretfully. I'm only a year
oh,
younger than you.
oh Lord.
So you said you just turned 60. I'll be 59 in December.
And I'm way younger than all of you.
And Mike's way younger than all of us. But I grew up in a house that I had the negative entity target me.
Ugh.
And then it's been following me around. I think it killed my dad.
Oh man.
And it's there. I know it's there. It shows its ugly face at the times when I'm at my lowest points, so it sits there and snickers, and it brings, makes itself known, like, hey, don't forget what I did, when you were a kid. Don't forget the times that we
Mhm.
shared when you were, 3, 4, 5 years old.
Yeah.
So
I don't know, for us, it's, I don't know how to gauge it, why it happens the way it does, but it seems like we'll get to a certain point, and then there's something that happens that's makes it very clear that we've gone up another level for some reason. Don't know why, but it's like a whole different genre type of demon or whatever that we end up having to fight.
yep.
And we had this kind of thing this week. We did one on Wednesday. Never seen anything like this particular demon. And the reason I want to just tell you briefly about it is because I had so many of the people that are watching right now were praying for us. And I just want to let them know kind of what happened. We had gotten called by a group that's here in Alabama that went and did a cleansing at these people's home and it you can't do a cleansing like that to get that kind of a demon out. It just doesn't, it don't work. Um,
Just
so
makes them angry.
yeah. And they had left their house and they were staying in an apartment, and now they were seeing black shadows and things at the apartment. And so she was saying that she thinks it's attached to her husband and that, um, but honestly, it was attached to all of them. And what happened was this kind of demon, never seen this before. It kind of looked like Medusa with the snakes thing, but it also had an unending number of tentacles that would literally reach out and would tag somebody. And it would be with you from then on. It wouldn't take you over like a normal, what I think a normal demon does that I get out of people. What this does is this just messes with your mind. This thing is so hooked into so many different people at one time, and that it's messing with all these people's minds. It makes you make bad decisions. It makes you, it could make you hurt yourself if it wanted to. It makes you fight. It's chaotic, whatever. When I called them, when the lady from, said, look, our cleansing didn't work. They need something stronger. I know there's something demonic there. Normally what we do is I will get on the phone with Colleen, because she lives like an hour away from me, and we consult our guides and find out what it is exactly is going on. What are we fighting? What do we need to do to defeat this thing? And that's what we normally do. And this one was just so different. And I just couldn't believe that I knew when I talk to the people that is being affected, I can feel what it's doing to them. I can feel the depression. I can feel the anxiety. I can feel, the chaos that's going on. I can feel the anger, the rage. I can feel all of it, but I can also feel what it is doing to them personally, like where it's just like eating a hole in their guts, and that, and it just, I can feel all of that. And so, just to save time with this one, because they had a 6-year history on this thing, dealing with this thing, I just said, look, let me tell you what's going on there. You tell me if I get anything wrong. And I told him exactly what I just told you. And I said, did I miss anything? He said, how do you know any of that? I said, that is my gift. So we knew what we were going into. And it was like we had to take such a different avenue to take this thing out. because it wasn't exorcising a person, it was exorcising the demon. So it was very different, very, very different. And we had to literally chop all of the tentacles off the thing so that whatever it had in anybody that ever went past that home, because it wasn't just that home, it was that entire area. So we helped a lot of people that have no idea we helped them. So thank God. Thank God. But they're doing
Absolutely.
great. They're doing great now.
Well, that's always amazing to hear. I know one of the things that makes me just want to go to the next one, the next case, is knowing that the people that you just helped are now doing, obviously they're perfectly all right now. So I have a theory,
Mhm.
or not even really a theory, but I have a thought process out of left field, and Dave knows that means something crazy's coming.
Yep.
So I'm going to use, and this is to your kind of question or your mentality of something is changing, and
Yeah.
this is a demon that we've never seen before.
Mhm.
And I'm going to use the comparison to the movie Pacific Rim. I hope everybody's seen it.
Never heard of it. Sorry.
Oh, that's too okay. Well, then I don't want to go into the whole thing, but basically the whole premise of the movie is that there's an interdimensional break that happens in the ocean, and these creatures or whatever are sending in these humongous monsters called kaiju. And each one of them is different, and as it goes, they send more and more. They get bigger, they get different, they get meaner, all this other stuff.
Mhm.
Do you think, with the fact of we just got over COVID, and that really did a lot of spiritualness to us, and we're starting to grow and evolve as spiritually as people. Do you think that whoever is quote unquote in charge of demons or negative energy, I don't want to say Lucifer or anything like that, but do you think that as we grow and as we change, that these new demons are being made as a different way of combating us?
Yes, I do. And I think when they know that we know how to defeat one, they kind of go back to the drawing board too and say, okay, they know how to handle this one. Let's throw this one at them. Something like that.
I mean, you know
You're
what
like
that sounds like, right?
the Power
That what you
Rangers.
no.
Oh, okay.
What it sounds like to me is when I'm listening to you and then I'm listening to Mike's analysis of it changing, and I was kind of thinking a little bit along that same line of thought, was it's like a social media demon, right? It's got
Yeah.
all these extended tentacles that are free ranging and
Mhm.
just grabbing you, not necessarily, not even to the point where
Right.
it's just gently making a connection. But then once it's got that connection, like a leech would have, because when a leech, we all know what leeches are in Minnesota, right? You grew up
Yep.
swimming in the ponds of Minnesota.
Yep.
So, you don't feel them attach.
Right.
But then when you get out of the lake, you're like, there's a leech.
Yep.
So I wonder if it's something like that. And because our social media has become so prevalent in human society, that the demonic entities that be got their heads together and said, you know what, we should create something like this social media thing, right? Like we should make something that just has these bazillion tentacles that just gently latch on. And to me, I hate social media. So to me, that's what I think social media is. I think it's a negative influence on all of us.
It is.
Because if you really take a look at social media, it doesn't do anything positive.
Right.
It's all people sit there and they're like, well, I don't even know. I was supposed to go pick up the kids 2 hours ago. I've been sitting here watching TikTok videos. I mean, it's just stupid,
Yep.
stupid stuff. But it
Yep.
totally disrupts your life, and it reconfigures your priorities. And I wonder if this thing that you ran into isn't something kind of in that game,
It generates demons. look at Slender Man. That was a
Yeah.
made up story on the internet.
Right.
And a lot of people put a lot of thought into it. And then a lot
Yep.
of people went out and did things.
Yep.
And it is now an entity. And
Right.
there are the Wraith, the same thing. The Rake, the Stick Man, that one too. They are, we have no idea what our minds are, what we can do, what all we can do. We can create all these awful things, because I've had this talk with my guides and I said, well, what would happen if we made up like a good monster to take out these bad things?
Right.
And I said, is that possible? And they said, yes, but you'd have to get people into wanting to make something good rather than something dark.
I think you could do that. I think there's still enough people that have faith and that walk in the light and love of God that would do that. I mean, it's interesting because we've had friends and we've had a lot of shows on this topic of CE5, which is getting people with like minds together to communicate with aliens, and getting hundreds of thousands of people all thinking the same thoughts, and then speaking to these other entities from other universes, other worlds, whatever. And it could be angels, who knows, right? Like it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is myself. I've seen a lot of weird stuff in my life, so I don't have an answer for it. But in that context, I agree with you. I think that why aren't there some warrior groups getting 500,000 people together to create some gigantic warrior of light being, right? That just comes in and is just with a, whatever. I mean, I'm not going to say sickle, because sickle usually is kind of like goes with the evil, but maybe he comes in with a laser gun, or something, and just starts mowing down all the darkness with love, with light, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's needed. I mean, it's just getting darker and darker on the internet. Anybody that spends much time out there, I mean, I would think you would see it.
Oh yeah.
And it does, and it goes through the computers and everything else. I mean, yeah, it's scary. I had a girl that we were exercising that had 4 demons that she'd made Facebook pages for, that people were out there friending. Yeah, I mean, so it's scary.
One, Dave will remember this story because I still remember it. And I find it hilarious, even though I really shouldn't. But
I'm not this pink, just so everybody knows. I look like really pink, like a Oompa or something today. I am not pink right now. I'm actually pretty pasty white like Mike is.
Yeah.
But I don't know why I look so pink at the moment. So
thank you for confirming that, Dave.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I'm looking at myself and I'm like, why do I look like I'm ready to explode or start roasting or something? I'm not. But
It's probably a reflection off that shirt, but
it's peach colored. I don't know. Maybe.
Exactly. So is the rest of you. But crap, you made me lose my train of thought, Dave.
The train left the building.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and it was a good one too.
Oh.
So it'll come back to you.
I'm sure it probably will, after the show's over.
No.
Did anybody remember what I was saying?
No.
Great. We were talking about making a being of light.
We were talking about making
and we were talking about how things could come through the internet.
Now I do. I do remember.
Good.
It was the very first home investigation that I ever did, and Dave was my mentor at that time.
Yep.
And we brought out the spirit box towards the end of the night, and we did it. And David asked the question, how many spirits are here? And I think we got like 12 or something like that. And then Dave asked for the names, and we started getting a whole bunch of names. And one of
absolutely amazing.
One of them was Balthasar.
Yep.
And so like after the investigation, like the next weekend or whatever, we got together for evidence review. We decided to look him up.
Yeah.
To find out exactly what this name was and what it meant.
Please do not say it out loud again, because it works like a summoning.
Oh, I won't.
Okay.
But we found a page for him on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
And it and this was 13 years ago.
Yeah,
So,
I was gonna say it was at least 10, 12 years ago. Absolutely.
I mean, this isn't the Facebook that we have now. I mean,
No.
this was, obviously way back when.
No.
And it had no photo. It had really no information on it, but it had two things. And it said hobbies, being evil, and swimming. And we just started laughing because it was like, wow, are you kidding me? But I mean, is there any way that, I mean, if we can't get people to create, a good being or something that would go and kind of be our champion against evil, is there any way, and this would probably even be easier than that, could we make a way of turning them into a mockery, of kind of making them more as a joke than any sort of threat?
Interesting. I don't know. Maybe. I don't really know.
Nobody's ever proposed that, huh?
No.
Go me. Unless that's a horrible idea, in which case it's Dave's fault.
No, I don't think that's a.
No, it's
yeah,
not a terrible
I don't think that's a
idea.
horrible idea at all. Actually,
No.
I mean, what you're saying is basically belittling
It
them.
would take the power away from them.
Right.
Yeah.
My concern would be the
Pissing them off.
rebuttal. Yeah, the
Yeah.
rebuttal would come back tenfold once they got together. They might then start stacking their energy. And then when they showed up, instead of showing up like they are now and making it a fight that's still winnable, they might show up with enough energy to just start defeating people like Rita, and sending her running.
That would never happen.
I was gonna say that would never happen, Dave. Come on. Instead of running, no.
No. I teach my classes. I teach them. You stand there. You never back down to a demon, because if you do, somebody's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
You do not back down. You stand your ground. And I mean, we've stood our ground when I thought Colleen was going to get killed. I mean, we had one that was so insidious. And he would keep coming up to one of us and with a light bulb, say, want to see a trick? Want to see a trick? No, don't want to see a trick. And he would be putting cigarettes out on the guy's arm and on his tongue. And I mean, it was so bad. It was so bad. But yeah, not fun.
No,
But you've got to stand your ground.
Yeah. It was my first rule of thumb on the first team I ever created many years ago, was you never run.
No, I will tell the people with me, if you feel like you need to run, you can crawl up my back. I don't care.
Right.
But do not run.
Nope. I would always tell them, get behind me. If you feel like you need to run, you just run. You just move behind me and everything, and I'll take care of it. But we never run, because the weakest link on a team is the greatest strength of your team.
Yep.
And people don't think about that.
Yep.
But when you're in a situation and something goes south and there's 6 or 8 of you, and a couple of people freak out and leave, and that breaks the energy of the team.
Sure does.
Now everybody's in trouble. I don't care how strong you are. I mean, I can put my wings out wide, and they have been put out wide many times to protect people.
Yep.
But at that moment, when we're fractured,
Yep.
it's a dangerous situation.
Very much so.
So.
Yep. Absolutely right.
So as we move into the second hour.
Has it been an hour? Holy crap.
Well, I can talk, can I?
No, that's beautiful. I've been looking forward to this interview for a long time, so I'm really glad that you're here.
And so, I mean, I have a bunch of generalized questions to get a topic going, but I know Dave says that he's got some really important questions he wants, and a lot of the times he doesn't get to ask them. So I want to throw out one of Dave's questions right now.
All right. So this one's gonna create some waves.
Uh-oh. Me?
I don't speak about politics a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
I stay away from politics. I'll talk about religion all day, but I don't talk about politics because it's a lot of people's hot button and whatever.
Right.
Do you think in our current state of what's happening right now in our lives, with Joe Biden, who seems to be set up as the pawn
Mhm.
And Trump, who is now a felon and was just indicted, yet is still gaining strength and looks like he might somehow become the president again, which I have absolutely no idea how that can possibly happen. But what of all of the other qualified people out there, these are our only two options. I don't understand that, number one. Number two, do you think that this has any type of religious underpinnings to biblical verse of the start of Revelations with somebody like Trump coming in and actually maybe being the Antichrist?
Geez, I don't know about that now. Um, I don't. I've never thought of it that way. I do believe that we're in Revelations already.
You think it started already?
Oh yeah,
Do
yeah.
you think that well, let me ask you this then as a side note, because I know a lot of my friends are interested in this. Do you think when those trumpets were sounding, do you think that was part of Revelation starting?
I heard the
When they
trumpet.
were hearing the horns like just blaring out of the heavens
I
and
heard
nobody could understand, and like everybody was like, what? I mean, from the up in the mountains in Colorado to Brazil to Germany, I mean, they were happening everywhere, and people were just grabbing their cell phones and recording them, and they
Yep.
were these tremendous,
Yep.
vibrating, loud, uh, horn blowings, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. And when I asked my guides about it, they confirmed it and also said that because we've heard, Colleen and I have heard other ones as well, but not that you heard like where everybody was taping them and that like we heard them. But so we were asking what was that, and they said, and because I asked if and I'm gonna get somebody in trouble here, probably myself. um, my thing is the Bible has been written and redone several times, and
Right.
things taken out, things put in. How accurate is the Bible is my thing a lot of times. And so I was asking about that because it says, in Revelations that there will be, seven horns or whatever it is. And I was told that that's not exactly true, that there will be that, but there will be other ones that signify other things, that's not written. And I don't know if that's what one of the things that Colleen and I had heard one of the times, when we were at a horse show of all places. And so I think there's more to it than that. But as far as the candidates and that, I've I've got so many friends on both sides of the fence. I really don't want to get too deep in that.
Right.
Um,
That's
but
fine.
um,
We don't have to.
but I do believe that this is part of Revelation. I really do.
So to answer Nicholas's question, he said, seriously, dude, Trump the Antichrist in the chat. Not necessarily saying that Trump is the Antichrist, but that the common consensus is that the leader of all world, right? So when everything becomes a unified one in the political realm, that is when the Antichrist is going to show his face. Right. So it's all good. There won't be any more folding money. There won't be, right. It'll all just be life credits, digitized, whatever. We're already moving there with our smartphones. Nobody carries anything anymore. We're already on that path. So if people don't understand that, then maybe they just don't understand. Maybe they just aren't interpreting the book the way, the Bible the way I interpret it. But I already see things moving forward in this, and it scares the hell out of me.
And it should. And it
does. It does.
I remember when we first started seeing this stuff, and I remember, especially when the last election, and a lot of people thought Trump should have won. Other people thought, all that mess that we've been listening to for the last whatever years now.
Right.
But I remember one day, I remember being on the phone with Colleen, and I remember her saying, you think that they're going to put Trump back in though, right? They're going to take Biden out. And I said, no. And she said, what? Why not? And I said, because it's written. I said, it's in revelation that Babylon has fallen. I said, that's us. And she said, oh my God, I forgot about that. So I don't know where we go from there. So I just knew that they were not going to put him back in. Will he get back in this time? Who knows? I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't ask.
Right.
Some things I just don't want to know.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Well, as much as I don't particularly like that topic either, just because it's so polarizing.
Right.
It is. Right.
Especially now. But let me ask you in general, do you believe the fact that we are now so polarized, like to the point where anti-Semitism and violence are like the normal of the day,
Yeah.
as opposed to, a horrific event that happens every once in a while? So I guess I have two kind of same but separate questions. Do you believe this polarization is a catalyst for why these demons are changing and why you feel such an uptick in what is going on? Or do you, on kind of the opposite end, feel that the demons and what they are doing are kind of the catalyst for us as opposed to us for them?
Mm.
Are we affecting them or are they affecting us?
I think right now they're affecting us. But I think, and I hope we can turn it around. I know that, I just from looking at everything that's been going on, especially this last year, it's gotten so bad, so bad. I mean, people would just soon kill one another than help them out. I'm sorry, you're Jewish. I have to kill you now. What the hell is that?
Right.
This is wrong. All of this stuff is wrong. And the people that keep pushing it are feeding the demons, and the demons are getting stronger and they're getting bigger. And I really fear for what happens to humanity from November to January when that person is chosen, whoever it is. There's going to be people that are very unhappy on both sides, and it's going to be hell. From November through January is going to be hell on earth, literally. That's what I'm seeing. I hope I'm wrong.
I'm waiting for you, Dave, because you look like you're contemplating something, so I don't want to cut you off.
So, who do you think is going to win the election?
Oh, come on.
I know who I hope wins, but who can cheat the best? I mean, I don't know. I don't.
Do you think it matters? Okay, well, let me rephrase that. Do you think it matters?
I think it matters, definitely. I think it does. I think we're looking at good versus evil. However, whatever guy you're for, you're going to think he's the good one, and whoever the other one is, you're going to think he's the bad one, and that's fine. But I really believe this is a battle. It's good versus evil, and I believe it's playing out.
And you think it's playing out right here in our political process as president
Yes.
of the United States?
Yes.
Do you think that powers that be are starting to make a ruckus then, like evil, darker powers that be are starting to make a ruckus with little subtle things like the recent helicopter crash that was unexplainable that killed the president of Iran?
Yeah.
I mean, do you think demonic influence and that negative influence like that has the ability to create little hiccups
Yes.
now that know that there's going to be an expanding effect of that hiccup?
Yep. Yes. And I believe, and I could be totally wrong, but I believe that political, how do I want to say this and not get thrown in jail?
We don't have any jail on this show. This is a free reign show.
I really think that I know from way back when, from early times, they had Merlin the magician and they had people doing this stuff. Our government alone has been doing all kinds of spying on things and
Oh, sure.
has I think has probably poisoned people and has probably
Sure.
done
Experimented on us. Yeah.
absolutely and
Sure.
also on probably on other governments and stuff like that, and I believe they do the same with us, and I believe it's getting more and more awful, and I believe they have people that do witchcraft. I believe they have people that are are sorcerers of their self, and there's probably some good ones out there. um it's so, I don't want to say easy, but I guess it is. It's easy when things are so volatile that that's the way the energy is for
Right.
people like that to tap into and use it. That's my fear.
So you think that because of all the turmoil and chaos that's happening in our existence right now, that energy, that chaotic energy, that frenetic energy is like a buffet for people wanting to do negative things?
Yes, I believe it can be. I
That's
believe it.
it's interesting. I have felt that for a long time, that was
Yeah.
we talk about frenetic energy a lot and chaotic energy on the show a lot, and how it's it feeds the negativity.
Yes. Yeah, I believe that.
Don't look at me if you think I'm done with this topic.
Michael was shaking his head. No, sorry. Are you sure? You don't want to?
Nope. That was. I will say this, Dave. I did not see you going there.
Yeah, that's okay. I told you I had a couple controversial topics tonight. So, and I'm usually not the controversial one. So, but
yeah, usually I'm the crazy one.
Right, you're usually the crazy one. I'm the one who's holding the fort down. And tonight we're switching roles.
We're switching roles. So, did you get everything you wanted from
that question? Yes.
From that question, okay.
Yes.
Because I want to move into something that is kind of an offshoot of that. Deals not with politics, but more with entertainment.
And mine really wasn't trying to be a political type of thing. That's why I said that. It was more of my gut tells me, my guides tell me that when the time comes, it's going to be a political leader that's going to unify all the other nations and countries together. Charming personality, whatever. And he's going to be the sweetest talker. And it's not going to come from the church. I know a lot of people think that the Antichrist is going to infiltrate the church and come from, it's not going to. It's going to come from the political arena.
All right, Dave, I'll run. Jeez, give it a rest. Just kidding. All right. So here's something that Dave and I have talked about a lot on the show and just in general when we're just talking one-on-one. And we both have seen it. We both laugh at it and roll our eyes at the same time. But because of television and paranormal shows and the reenactments and everything that like that always center on the negative. They always want the demonic hauntings, and they always want, because that's what sells. That's what gets people to watch.
Right.
And because of that, we've noticed that now everybody, and you've kind of mentioned it already in this hour, everybody thinks every haunting is a demon. It doesn't matter what's going on. If the door slams shut, it's a demon. Mm-hmm. And so I'm wondering, in your experience and in your career, have you noticed any, I guess, what would you say are the differences or the signs that people should actually look for between a regular, human haunting, whether it's whether he's a douchebag or not, mm-hmm. He's there to cause trouble, but he's not a demon, and an actual demonic haunting?
Yeah, if it's an actual demonic thing, a ghost can maybe lift maybe 3 pounds, most, maybe 5 if it's an extremely strong ghost, has a lot of energy, but that's very, very unusual for something like that. You see your couch lift up and go flying into the wall, sorry, you got a problem. Because that's not a ghost. A ghost can't do that. Demons can do that. Now, the thing that gets me is it's because of everything that's on TV, like you were talking about. And even with me, you know, I had the TV show last summer, and what got me about it was, and really upset Colleen too, was the fact that by the time they were done making it into what they wanted, the angels weren't even in it. And we are the ones that work with the angels, but they didn't even talk about the angels at all. And that, you know, that really, it's, once again, you're glorifying the demons. It's all about the demons. It's all about the demons. So that is making them stronger. It's giving them, you know, it's giving them energy. It's giving them, people are giving them thought and giving them all this stuff. Now, since the shows, you know, TAP started out with that, you know, and I loved watching them at first. I really did.
Yeah.
And I watched them for quite a while, and then I don't know. I guess I just, I don't know, got enough of it or whatever. I don't know what it was, but I kind of branched out onto other things, and then that's about the time Zach Bagans started with his first yeah. And I'm sorry, I did watch him for a little while, and then when he started getting into, I remember at the Ram's Head Inn, I don't know if you ever saw that one, where he absolutely made them have the witches, you know, bring in the demonic and all this crap. That he so totally lost me, completely lost me. And I know he's been exorcised a few times, and I think he's got a few more to go, but that's just my opinion. I don't know, but I don't watch that show, and I hate that he's out there and influencing so many people. That's, I think, part of the problem is that, you know, people idolize that and think, oh, that's what I should do. That's what I'm going to do, you know, and really not a good thing to do.
That show's very dark now. Every single episode is nothing but darkness. It isn't about helping a family. That's long gone. I liked that show when it first started. When it was Nick and Aaron and Zach.
Yeah.
And they were just looking for proof of the afterlife, and I really liked that show for the first couple seasons. But then things changed,
and
it got really dark. It went really dark. Like maybe Bobby Mackey's. I don't know.
You know,
I agree with you. The Ram's Head Inn was an episode like that too, where he had Lady Snake was her name, the witch, open up and do the conjuring ceremonies with, and put Aaron in there.
And he didn't want anything to do with it.
No, he would. Well, it's because he never does. So he always throws poor Aaron in there.
Yeah.
You know,
he
and
didn't
then
want anything to do with it. Yeah.
And then you could feel the whole entire environment change, and then opened up something, and
Yeah.
I get you.
Yeah. So I'm not real thrilled with the entertainment that's out there, because I just think it glorifies a lot of this, instead of taking the other side of, you know, defeating it. But I guess if you're not somebody that has to defeat it, I guess it's entertainment.
Right.
I've just seen both sides of it, and I don't find it very entertaining. So.
No, and I'm sure the people who went through it probably don't find it very entertaining either.
No.
But the chance to become popular and make some money by telling their story.
Oh, okay.
Sure, why not? So along with that, and this is, I mean, I do have other stuff, but I want to get back to Dave. And this is a quick one. So I have always been interested and annoyed at the same time at the thought process that 3 knocks is demonic and as a mockery of the Trinity. And I had no idea where that came from. And so a while ago, we had Michelle Belanger on the show, who wrote, you know, obviously the Dictionary of Demons, and you're obviously very familiar with her. And I asked her about that. I'm like, since you know all these demonic, stories from way back in their entire history, where did that come from? And she told me that she had never even heard of that until Lorraine Warren. And Lorraine Warren was the first time that anybody had ever said that these 3 knocks were some mockery of the Trinity. Do you agree with that? Or are you more like me where I'm like, 3 knocks is 3 knocks?
Yeah. The problem with it is that it has been so glorified out there and put so much out there with it that it almost has become what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's like these, the demon things. You put so much into it, and all of a sudden now you've got that entity. And I think that's what's happened here, especially like with the scratches and stuff like that. Knocks are knocks. I'm sorry. They're knocks. To me, they're knocks. I don't count it and go, oh my God, that's the devil. I don't do that. But it could be, for all I know. But I don't think of it in that terms. But a lot of people do, because a lot of people watched, the Warrens and stuff like that. And I'm not going to knock them. I mean, they did a lot to further what we do. And so they helped a lot of people. There's some people they didn't help. Well, there's people that I've tried to help that I couldn't help. So, not everybody's got 1,000% batting average. It just,
right.
you win some, you lose
doesn't
some.
exist. Yeah.
Yeah. You win some, you lose some. And, but no, I don't think 3 knocks is, nope.
Yeah. I've told my team countless times, I'm like, I have a hard time believing that 1 knock is a human spirit, 2 knocks is a human spirit, 3 knocks is a demon, but 4 knocks is a human spirit. Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me.
Let me just say one thing though. If somebody's knocking, okay, I'm with you with that. It's a knock. Do not say, come on in. Don't do it. Go to the door and look. If there's nobody there, don't open that door. Just shut the door, leave it shut. Because they can try to get in that way. And it's right for them to come in. If you open the door, say, come on in. Yeah, don't do that.
An invitation for a vampire too.
I guess so. I hadn't run into one of those yet.
Give it time, Rita. Give it time.
I know. Time is young.
Yeah.
And I very much second what you said about, not being able to help everybody. Like, that was, I noticed that anytime my team and I get to a case and the end of a case and what we're doing is not working, I'm like, sometimes this is beyond us and we can't help them, but let's find, and you said it earlier, let's find the people who can.
Find somebody who's qualified to help them. Yeah.
Exactly. And sometimes that's not us. And so I just wanted to reiterate that is, something that I think
this is the real world. This is not entertainment. That's the difference. In entertainment, they can end it any way they want to, and that's great. But in real life, you don't, tie it up in a little bow in 30 minutes and you're done. It don't happen.
No, it doesn't happen.
I have heard of this stories of teams going into homes or whatever, and them being asked if they're going to be in and out in 45 minutes, because that's how long the TV shows are.
Yeah.
And they're like,
and they've watched all their footage and everything all in that time and have it all wrapped up. And then, no.
Nobody thinks of it like that. Nobody thinks that there's hours and hours and hours that goes into every case.
So many.
And so I just wanted to reiterate that.
And I'd be like, nope, we're going to be here 4 to 6 hours tonight. And then we're going to review before next weekend. And then we're going to be back to go over evidence with you.
Yeah. And then we'll hopefully have a plan from there.
And then we're going to put a game plan together as a group, right? Where I'm going to give you my best advice from all of my years of knowledge. Right. And then you're going to tell me what you're comfortable with or not comfortable with. And then we're going to have to, it's all a give and take. So,
Yep.
So a question for all of our listeners so this is kind of a fine line question, right? So I'll reflect back to Joyce's situation at the end of this question. So how do you live in the light of God and the love of God and move forward in a positive way without attracting negative entities that see you as a challenge or a threat, as Joyce was seeing, how can you keep yourself clean, and enjoy your life of positivity and light and love and live in Christ without having negative things constantly coming after you? Is there a way that you can do that?
There's ways to make it less noticeable, less bothering you. Um, there are different things that you can do to make your home a lot less hospitable to darker energies. The way you do that is you raise your vibration.
Vibrational level. Yep.
Absolutely. Every single house that I have gone into where I had to do an exorcism is dark. Every single one of them, including the one I did 4 days ago. All the drapes are always drawn. It's always dark. It's always dark. Open up the light. Let the light come in. The natural light come in from God. Let it come in. They don't like that. They will be banished to the shadows that you have until nighttime, and then turn on the regular lights. Don't always sit there in the dark. Get rid of all the chaos in your house. They love clutter. Absolutely love clutter.
Yep.
They can hide amongst it. They can, make more mischief for you. Get rid of that. Just keep things tidy. Keep it, so that it's down to a normal level. If you're somebody that hoards things, that you probably need to have some help with that, because that can be a problem. Play music. They hate music. Ring bells. They hate bells. Trust me, I went into a wall head first because I rang a bell. They hate it. Stuff like that. Keep it up. I go through your house once a week with some sage. Open up a window, push everything out, go from the furthest part of the house and push everything down till you get into the room that you have either the open door or the open window, and push everything out. That will take any kind of residual energy out of there. It will take if you've had arguments, if you've had, angry words with people and just, mean thoughts and all this kind of stuff, cleanse it out, get it out of there, and don't let it keep, festering and building and building and building. They have to start over every time that you get rid of that stuff. Also, be sure you take some time to ground yourself. I don't know if how many people do that, but it's very good and it's very healthy for your body to do that, to ground yourself. A lot of people, it's walk out in the woods, or take a walk in the mountains, or be down by the ocean. Whatever it is, for me, all I have to do is put my hands in dirt and work like with the plants and that. And for me, that's very grounding. I love to mow. It's just very grounding for me. And I feel so much better then. So get yourself realigned with nature again, because that is a part of us, and it'll make you feel better. None of the dark ones don't want you to have any joy in your life. They don't want you to be happy. So sing, put on some music and sing to it. I don't care if you think you can sing or not. You're at your own home. Sing. Tell the people that you live with that you love them. Not only does that lift their vibration, it lifts yours, because you've made them happy and you've made yourself happy. Put the light into it. There's just a lot of things like that you can do to lighten up your home where you live. And that's very important, because, we all get into funk every now and then. In the winter time, it's dark out early and, it's cold. You don't want to deal with it, whatever. That's fine. Take and just cleanse out your house once a week, and you'll feel a whole lot better. And it doesn't give them anywhere to, hang around. Try to keep yourself, people go, how do you deal with demons? You're laughing all the time. You know what? That's part of how I deal with them, because they hate it. They hate laughter. And I'm just weird. So I like to laugh. And, it works for me. But that's what you got to do. You got to take and just make your house a shrine. Make it, some place you want to live in and they don't want to live in. Just lift that vibration. Love is the highest vibration in the universe. And they dwell on the lowest vibration of the universe. So if your house is happy, if your house is cleansed out, and that, they're going to go look for somebody else who isn't quite as, happy and cheerful and clutter free as you are, because they don't like it. They don't like that atmosphere. They like their own, and they want you to dwell in it with them, and they'll bring you down to that. So just refuse to let them.
I always say it's the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
Right. That's what they're going to follow. So if they
Yes.
stop at my house and it's a challenge, but they glance down the road 2 doors down and they see that that everything's just in a total disarray, and that there's just constant fighting and arguing and clutter and laundry everywhere, and
They'll see you
kitchen's
later.
a mess and whatever. They're like, they're
See ya,
moving.
dude.
Yeah.
I'm
They're
not
like,
being right
well,
here.
I'd really
Watch
like to
this.
kick Dave's
Watch
ass
this.
today, but I'm going to go down over to this house for a while first,
He's going, I'm going to knock 3 times and listen to somebody say, come on in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Dave, did you want to ask another one of your?
No, that's the 2 that I wanted to get in tonight, was the whole thing about the hierarchy of the Prince of Darkness coming back in, and then through the political regime. And then I wanted to touch on a positive thing, which was, how can we help ourselves as lovers of followers of Christ and living in the light of Christ and God? How can we
Yes.
help ourselves without making ourselves, targets?
Right. And if you have a crucifix at home that you like or whatever, don't put it in a drawer. Put it up on the wall. Let them
Right.
know when the evil comes in that I will fight. I've got Christ right here. I will fight. And it like you said, if the guy down there, he's not having all that. So I think
Right.
I'll just head down there. It's easier pickings.
It's easier pickings. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Okay, so I think this topic will probably take us to the end of the show. And see, I told you. But a couple weeks ago, Dave and I had on a woman by the name of Nicole Strickland, and she is one of the 3 authors of like groundbreaking women in the paranormal.
Okay.
They wrote a book about it, and I wanted to talk to her about women being in the paranormal and some of the things that they had to deal with and stuff by getting in, because this was a pretty male dominated field up until recently. And I read it.
As is the church.
Well, right. And
Rita knows that, obviously. The church is male dominated.
Yep.
And that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about. I wanted to see if, when you decided to join up, and especially when you decided to make the choice into becoming an exorcist, did you have any struggles or blowback, or, were there any hardships that you felt that you had to endure and get past simply because, you're female?
I really feel like God had his hand in it for me. He really wanted me to do this. And he literally put me in with people that accepted that I was a woman. And the first bishop I was with, he was out of Tennessee, and we had a case, and the guy, oh, he was such a jerk. The guy wanted us basically to come there and do an investigation at their house. Said he'd had 4 other groups there and nobody would help him. And, woe was me. We went there, and Oh my God, it was awful. It was me and Colleen and Rose. We went there and we were fixing to go on vacation like the next day. And so it's like, no, let's get this out of the way with, because we were already booked out 3 months in advance. It's like, let's not put another one off. Let's just get it done. We went there and I talked to this guy before I ever went there and, asked him the normal questions. And have you been doing any tarot cards? Have you been doing any Ouija board? Have you done any rituals, anything? Oh, no, no, no. We don't do that. We haven't done that. I remember when I got off the phone with him that day, 45 minutes worth of absolutely no, no, no. We're just wonderful. I remember when I talked to Colleen, I said, what are you picking up? Because I would always do that. I'd just say, we have a case in, Huntsville. What are you picking up? And usually she'd start rattling off, I'm getting this, 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 and this. And she said, is this a young man? And I said, yeah. She said, does he live alone? And I said, no. She said, Rita, she said, I'm going to tell you. She said, whatever this guy has got is overshadowing everything. She said, all I'm getting is a small room, a young man, and an open door. She said, that's all I'm getting. And she said, oh, and an extreme amount of deceit. And I said, okay. So that's what we went on. So we drove up there. And I said, the guy kept saying, now, do I get to go around with you? Do I get to go around with you? And I said, first, we're going to do a walk through the house. I want you to stay outside. And because he was just so, I'm like, this guy's wanting attention. That was big on me. This guy's wanting attention. But he could still have a problem, right? So we get there. His mom is sitting outside. She's got her leg bandaged up. I think she had just had knee surgery. His girlfriend, who literally had the mentality of a 12-year-old, she just did. And then this guy who looked like a skinhead, literally looked like a skinhead with all the tattoos and skinned head and all this stuff. And I just remember he came up the first thing and he said, can I go in with you? Can I go in with you? And I said, no, you need to stay out here. And it was a very small double bungalows like thing. So it was very small. You walk in, you're in the living room, kitchen's literally over here to your left. Straight ahead is the hallway. There's a bedroom on this side, and a little tiny bathroom. That's it. Walk in, I hear crunch. I'm like, what the crunch? I'm looking around, the walls are moving, the couch is moving, all the furniture is moving. There are so many cockroaches in this place and all the lights are on.
Oh.
And I'm going, oh dear God. And you could not walk on 30 of them every step you took. So I turned around, walked back outside, put my gear outside. I'm not putting it down in there. No way. So we put it back down. We go back in there and Colleen and I are looking at each other like, what the hell have we done? And so we go in and she walks straight to that small bathroom. And I'm standing out in the hallway while she's in there. And I mean, because you literally, like your shoulders are almost touching walls. It's so small.
Yeah.
And she's going, what's on the other side of this wall over here? And I said, I don't know. Let's go look. So went over there. That was a bedroom, opened it up. It was the guy's bedroom with his girlfriend. And right where she was pointing was the closet. Go over there, open up the closet to a shower of cockroaches all over our hair, all over us. Just nasty. Picking them out of each other's hair. It was just disgusting.
Yuck.
Oh, and there on the shelf is the Ouija board. And I open the damn thing up and the planchette has in blood a pentagram on it in blood. I'm so angry right now. I can't even speak. I'm so mad. I looked at Colleen and I said, your young man is out there. I said, the small room is the closet and the open door is the damn Ouija board that he opened the door with. I said, deceit is all over this damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was so mad. I did something I've never done before, ever. I went out there. I blessed him out in front of God and everyone. And I told him, I am not going to do a damn thing to help you unless you go in there, get that damn Ouija board, bring it out here, tear it in 7 pieces. We're putting it in separate bags. You're going to have to bury it on consecrated ground. I don't have a car. I said, well, it ain't going in mine. And I said, you've got 2 seconds to get off your butt and go in there and get it, or I'm out of here. And he's mad at me. I mean, he's about as mad as you can get. And you know what? And I looked at Clean and I said, I'm sorry. I said, I don't know what's come over me. I'm just so angry. She said, if you don't bless him out, I will, by God. He was so mad. And I said, you know what? You haven't moved fast enough. And I picked up my stuff and I started going to the car. And I hear his girlfriend go, Richie, go get that board. You know I told you not to bring that in here. I told you and Mama not to play that thing. I told you I was possessed when I was 11. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? I just wanted to just go. He went in, got it, ripped it in half, threw it down, said, are you happy? I said, no. I went over and I ripped it up some more. And I said, now I'm happy. I put it in different things. I put blessed salt on it. I put holy water on it. And I tied it up. And I said, you've got to bury these on consecrated ground. Right? And he said, well, I don't know where to go. I don't have a car. I said, this is Huntsville, Alabama. You have a church on every corner. Don't start with me. And literally, there's a church on every corner. So we took the bags and we put them up at the fence that was there. And I started saging them because he's got to sage them and then get them in. He's got to take back his house, which is a joke. We all know. We know it's not going to work.
No.
But I'm getting the hell out of there. And this is how I'm going to do it. So I started saging his mom, got her done. And the last thing I would do when I would sage them is I would have them reach in the bowl and take the smoke and push it, wash it over their head, once for the Father, once for the Son, once for the Holy Spirit. And she just barely got it out. She could just barely get it out. He comes up next. I'd already done the other girl. He comes up next. And I hear Colleen go, as I'm saging him, I hear her go, oh my God, did you see what just came out of him? And I'm going, oh Lord, here we go. So I got him done and I'm having him do it. He cannot say the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Can't say it for nothing. I finally say it for him just so, we could get on with this, get it done with. And we go in the house. It's a joke. We know it's not going to work. And he's laughing the whole time. He cannot say anything that I'm saying. And so I just went through until I got it done. And it came out. And I said, look, about that time, Colleen goes, did you see what came out of that house? I said, no, I didn't. And I said, look, we're out of here. I said, this ain't going to work. None of this is going to work. And I said, let's go. I told him, I said, you've got to bury those pieces on consecrated ground. And I said, oh, and by the way, you might get an exorcism. I turned around and we left. We didn't go, 5 miles, and they're already on the phone. And she's going, you got to come back. You got to come back. Mama's jumped up and she's knocking all the salt off the winds, off the, door stoop and everything. And she's going to kill us. I said, have you buried the board yet? Well, no. And I said, you need to bury the board on consecrated ground. Okay. She hangs up. A couple minutes later, here back. And said, okay, Mama's acting okay. She's acting better now. I said, did you bury the board? No, we may have a friend come over tomorrow. And I said, it's not going to work. And she said, well, maybe we'll go tonight. Okay, whatever. So we go on. 45 minutes later, I get a text from him that says, okay, we found a church. We threw the board in their driveway. That was it. And the next thing I did, but the reason this story is important is because after we went on our little vacation, which was another thing God set up for us, and it wasn't for the reason we thought, but anyway, I get back home and I'm at the shop where I get my sage and stuff, and it's so loud in there. They got like this centering thing on, and it's so loud. I get this phone call, and this is from some guy up in Tennessee, and all I can hear him saying, because it's so loud in there, I couldn't understand what he said his name was, and he said Richie. And I thought, oh, okay, great. So this idiot has called another paranormal team to come in, and I said, don't waste your time, guy. I said, don't even waste your time. And he said, well, he said you came and did that you came by and you did something there. And I said, wait a minute. I said, hang on, let me go outside, because I'm sorry, I just really can't hear you. So I go outside and I said, I'm sorry, who did you say you were? And he said, I'm Bishop James Goodwin.
James Long. Oh,
No. He said, from Tennessee. And he said, I got a call from Richie, and he's talking about that you said that his house may need an exorcism. I laughed and I said, not before he gets one. I said, he better have one before he does the house, because it ain't going to do the house no good otherwise. He said, oh, really? And I said, yeah. I said, I'll tell you what. I said, when we saged him, a half a man walked out of him, just the legs, the other half still in him. I said, and out of the house came this really scraggly looking wolf with red eyes and very sharp teeth, ran around the house and went back to the board that was up against the thing. I said, I'm telling you, I said, instead of going and buying some raids so that his girlfriend and his mother could live in a place that wasn't cockroach infested, I said, he goes and buys a $300 tattoo of a swastika. It's on his Facebook page. Go look at it. And he said, I tell you what, he said, would you mind writing up exactly what happened the whole weekend, the whole time you were there? I said, I'll do that for you. So I did. I sent it to him. Next thing I know, he's asking me to be his lead investigator for the demonic for his church. And it killed me, because Colleen had told me before, she said, you do know we're going to end up take over what the Warrens had started doing. I said, you're crazy. I said, I'm not going to be doing anything for the Catholic Church. Here I am. I hate it because she's always right. So that's my, yeah. So anyway, so that's how that started. And then after him, and he was very open-minded about our gifts and things like that. He would ask us stuff, and things would be the way it was. And so he learned to trust us. About that time, I also got a shaman on my team, and then he decided he wanted to be a priest, and so the bishop made him a priest, and then I got another priest on my team, and we did a really good job of tag teaming the demons, so that no one person had it all fall on them, and it worked for us.
Yeah.
And so they were absolutely fine with us tag teaming with them. And that's where I got my training from, was I learned under them.
That's a beautiful way to do it. Instead of having everything blow back to you, you can disperse that. And so you carry some of the burden, but you're not carrying all of that. So it's not taking you down for 3 or 4 or 5 days or a week or whatever, until you can get through that dark energy that's angry at you and trying to take you out.
Yep.
That's great. That's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. It worked for us. And thankfully, when I joined the church that I'm with now, the Celtic Cross, Old Catholic Church, I have an awesome archbishop, and he is all about having women empowered, and doing this, because he believes that women too can be called to fight. And he's seen me in action. He's seen what I do in that. And he started the the school with me, and we teach women how to do exorcism. And then I, once they've passed the course and everything's good, I ordain them, and then they are a priest, and they can do their own, and they don't have to be under a man at some other church who doesn't believe in it, that says you can only be a nun. It's come on, it's 2024. God calls, he calls whoever he thinks he needs to fight. Doesn't
Right.
matter if you're a woman, a man, or a dog. You know, I mean, if that's what he needs, that's what he's going to do. So,
Right. Agreed. Do you, real quick before we get into you kind of telling us about yourself and like all your contact stuff, do you use Palo Santo at all? You keep saying that you use sage and you sage stuff. Do you not use Palo Santo wood?
I have. It's okay. It's all right. I usually, for me, it just seems like it works better if I use the white sage. I put some red cedar in it,
Okay.
dried red cedar, and then I take 3 drops of holy oil, one for the Father, one for the Son, one for the Holy Spirit, light it, and stuff starts running.
Okay.
And if you ever need anything like that or whatever, I'd be happy to send it to you.
Ooh,
Cool.
free
Yeah.
samples.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Hey, I've got one thing that I made called Demaway, which is great. And especially if you have like a demonic infestation, like there was in this lady's house, she had like these flies. It was February, and they just overnight all these flies in the kitchen. And so took a picture of the fly and then sprayed it with Demaway to see what would happen, and it melted into the floor. So stuff's good.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty
Wow.
cool.
So
And if you have attachments on you, you know how every now and then you're just sitting there and all of a sudden you get a sharp pain for no reason. That's
Yep.
usually an attachment. That's usually something that has, you've been to Walmart and you got an attachment. I get them all the time there. I hate them. But you haven't hurt yourself. You just spray it and it'll fall off and it stops hurting immediately. So it's some good stuff.
before that Walmart story there, I was going to say, so the main ingredient is hydrochloric acid.
No, it's holy water and blessed oils.
Well, the fly just melted in the floor. That to me means hydrochloric acid.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have to spray it on yourself, never mind.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Hopefully, it's not hydrochloric acid.
No.
Okay, so this is just going to be a yes or no question because that's all we have time for before we
Yep.
get to your contact information and stuff.
Mhm.
Have you ever encountered a succubus or incubus?
Yes. Yes.
Did you
both.
did you find
Nope,
them?
you said yes or no question, and then we have to get to her.
All right, we'll save that for after the show. All right, well that is again like all the time that we have. So I mean, for anybody who is listening to this who may have an issue, something, maybe they just want questions of whether what they are dealing with in their area, where can they get a hold of you?
Okay. Probably the easiest way to get a hold of me is off of Facebook, Bishop Rita Strugala. It's right out there, and you can just send me a message, and I'll be happy to send back. Or you can contact the church. You can the Celtic Cross Old Catholic Church. It's also a web page out there. It's put my name in any search engine, it'll pop up. So there's several different places. You have Confraternity of St. Michael the Archangel, or the Sword of St. Michael. Either any of those. Just put my name in a search and it'll pull me up. You can send me a message.
And I can vouch for that because I did a Google Images search to find a photo for the promo for the show, and I just got through Bishop Rita, and your name was the only one on it.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
you are the only Bishop Rita out there. Period.
Well, that's a good thing when it comes time to try and find somebody. So
True.
So yeah, I agree. Bishop Rita, thank you so much for coming on and being a part of this. And there's still so much more I want to get to. But like I said, that'll be the after show party for just Dave and I.
yeah, yeah,
But thank you for coming on, Dave, and I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Anytime.
absolutely. Yeah.
Anytime.
Oh, we're gonna take you up on that one.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, that does it for us this week. We are going to have our first ever listener show next week, where Anthony will be on to talk to us about Skinwalker Ranch. So stay tuned for that. But until then, stay healthy, stay safe. We want to see you back here. Everyone, have a great night.